Hi, my name is David Sholin, and I've worked in the public mental health service system for almost 30 years. I've been an LCSW, which is a licensed clinical social worker, since the year 2000. I've worked with almost all populations, from little kids all the way up through older adults, and I've held both clinical and administrative positions. So why am I sitting in a closet? Because we're here to talk about mental health stigma today, and this is a little bit what stigma feels like. It feels like secrets, it feels like shame, it feels like guilt, even though you didn't do anything wrong. It feels like judgment, not only from everybody else, but from inside your own head. And you can't get away from it. So if we're going to talk about stigma, we better define it. So what is stigma? Stigma is a negative association or perception of a person or people that's usually based upon a stereotype or based on misinformation. I've seen stigma keep people from the help that they need, keep them in a place of pain, because they simply believe if they try hard enough, or if they pray hard enough, or if they were just a better person, that somehow they wouldn't face the challenges in their mind, in their emotions, or in their behavior. We live in a culture that honors the Protestant work ethic. Everything is won by merit, and if you don't succeed, it's because you didn't work hard enough, or you didn't try hard enough. And when somebody faces challenges that others can't see, maybe even themselves they can't understand, then it's really easy to judge. The judgment the person experiences is 10,000 times in their head, and then when they face somebody else who is reminiscent of that criticism, it simply brings it all back and makes it real. It gives it validity that it doesn't deserve. Unfortunately, that stigma is transferred into even seeking mental health care, whether it's taking medication, whether it's seeing a therapist, whether it's even just doing one's own kind of personal enrichment activities like journaling or using daily affirmations. These are often mocked or satirized in our society. Our profession sometimes doesn't help. For a long time, we removed people who had mental disorders from our society and we hospitalized them. We said they were dangerous or that only we could make a determination of what their value or their contribution was. We referred to people by their diagnosis. Instead of somebody being a person with schizophrenia, they were schizophrenic. Instead of being a person with bipolar disorder, they were a bipolar. People aren't defined by these illnesses, no more than people are defined by illnesses like diabetes or cancer or even the common cold. I worked with a man who experienced really intense social anxiety disorder and major depression. He very much was a cowboy on the outside. He chewed tobacco, rode horses, lived on a ranch. But ever since a very early age, he increasingly became more anxious when he was around others. An anxiety that was so incredibly intense that sometimes it could only be self-medicated, that he would drink in order to be able to be around others. His anxiety was so intense that even when he needed to go grocery shopping, he only went very late at night, and he would only pick the aisle that was vacant so he could go down it to get what he needed. Over a course of time, and with the right treatment, and with the right practice and the dedication to his own therapy, he became the most active participant in his college classroom. He looked across at me one day while he was completing his treatment and said, when people used to talk about joy, when they said that they would have a happy experience, I just believed that they were pretending. I didn't think that they were actually telling me the truth. But for the first time in my own life, I've experienced joy. So what can a person do to help reduce mental health stigma? Well, in the state of California, we're fortunate that we have the Mental Health Services Act. The Mental Health Services Act passed in 2004 and created a separate funding stream just for mental health and mental health programs. There's an area of the Act called Prevention and Early Intervention, and it has a whole area on anti-stigma campaigns and suicide prevention. So you can go online and look up the Mental Health Services Act and find a lot of good information. Each county has its own programming geared towards not only making mental health services something more reachable for people, but opening up programs to people who have never otherwise would have had that resource. So educate oneself. I think in the day-to-day life, when you see somebody who might be having challenges, to think first, to respond with understanding. It's important to know that understanding doesn't excuse. We still want to hold people to their highest potential. They still need to be accountable for their lives. But I've never seen shame or blame motivate somebody to a place of wellness. It's usually only led them to a place of secrecy. But try understanding first. Don't make quick judgments. Don't express quick judgments. I also think it's important for us to be honest about our own mental health needs. 1 in 4 people will have a mental health challenge every year. 17% will have a chronic challenge or chronic disorder. These illnesses are common. Their experience is common. And if we shared more with others regarding those experiences, if we talked about them with the same familiarity as we do hanging out, or what TV show we like, or what's the best new thing on Netflix, perhaps people would begin to feel understood and feel comfortable sharing their own story back.